What did I do? Did I really free my village, or did I instead release a villain? Did I create a new threat? If that new threat was Asgards, then I had just condemned all of us to a greater doom. The monster leaned forward and toward us as we stepped backwards in fear. This fool always spoke endlessly, Asgard said, before absorbing something out of Red Eye's remains. What are you doing? I asked, trembling. Don't you have something to do? He retorted, and I looked at the rude altar location next to Red Eye's fallen throne. There was still something standing there, despite the roots that the monster had absorbed. Black vapors emanated from all the remains of Red Eye, then merged to form the dark soul of my great-great-grandfather. My work ends here, the monster spoke. You said you would help, I protested. Don't be dreaming, kid, those things never help anyone. At least not for free, Razor corrected. I said that I shall do the rest, which is taking back everything that is mine. Your human woes are no concern to me. I have to go back to the realm of my kind, Asgard spoke. Then his tentacles wrapped the soul of Red Eye before he flew away, moving in the air just like an octopus swims in the ocean, and disappeared through the ceiling, taking Red Eye's soul with him. I looked at the core structure of the root altar, still standing. I did not know exactly what time it was, I did not know what to do, I only knew that I had to take it down, therefore, I ran towards it and even touched it with both hands. The moment I made contact with the altar, I found myself in a new place, a dark place where the only source of red light came from the platform I was standing on. Calling it a platform is just my way of trying to make it as clear as possible. In fact, I stood on a wide-sized version of the Red Eye's cult symbol resembling a compass. It glowed in red while everything around was totally obscure. The symbol made a lot more sense due to the fact that there were smaller versions of the altars I spent the whole day taking down, positioned according to their respective locations in the real world, north, south, east and west. Each of the altars had a curved column bent to support a statue of Red Eye standing in the middle of the symbol. The statue itself stood on what resembled a cage. I walked around the center not knowing what to do, and approached the cage to see what looked like a small version of the village with little lights like fireflies, all trapped inside. Help! Help, I heard from disembodied voices, and for some reasons thought about Red Eye pointing out that the spiritual influences the natural, or in other words, what happens in the spirit realm, defines what happens in real life. When I tried to touch the cage, I found out that it was protected by an invisible magnetic force, therefore, I thought about reproducing what I did in the real world, south, north, east and west, the exact order in which I took down the altars. I touched the south altar, but nothing happened, so in frustration, I kicked it and it crumbled, along with its curved column. I did the same for all the other altars until the statue was deprived of support, allowing me to just push it and let it shatter on the symbol, gruesomely reminiscing of what I witnessed earlier. I then touched the cage, and it just sort of melted, allowing the village, and all the lights to be set free. They shone with a bright white, blinding me to the point of hurting my eyes, and I just sat there, waiting until I could open my eyes again. The first thing I remember doing is hearing the music from an old radio placed at a window of the house behind me. The second thing was the feeling of the cool breeze of the outside, thus leading me to the third one, opening my eyes to see. I remember the stars and the moon, resplendent like on the wallpapers we see on the web. I remember the lights of the village, the lights from the buildings, more beautiful than ever as the electricity had returned. Everyone around me was unconscious, and I checked the time to read 11:47 p.m. It was not midnight yet, it was not the 10th of June yet, but the blackout was over. Unfortunately, the sweet realization of the victory soon faded away as screams of terror and distress ushered in a massive period of grieving. The 84th and last blackout was by far the worst, with a record of 349 demises. Carla? Carla? Vivian, I heard from a familiar voice. It was my mother. Mommy, Carla answered, not far away, making me jump on my feet and run to her. Don't go to her, I said, retaining my sister to protect her. She hugged me, happy to see her brother. You, my mother said. Don't come close to us, I warned. You're not gone? So he failed, she wondered, and could see in my eyes that I knew. Terrence, it's Mommy, Carla said. Don't go to Mommy, Carla, she's evil, I said. No, look, it's Mommy? What are you doing? Where's Daddy? And Vivian, she asked, shattering my heart for the umpteenth time that day. Penelope then made the first strides toward her escape after realizing that her cover was blown, ignoring the desperate cries of her youngest child as I retained my sister. It was not the moment to go after them just yet. The same night, my sister and I settled in Adelaide's house because I needed to watch after her and the evidence, and because, well, our house was destroyed. Right from the following day, when authorities were again able to operate, I explained and showed them everything that I could. Of course, there are many things that unfolded from there, so let me just fill you in with a few I think you might find interesting. After my revelations, the village population was split between those who believed me and some others still skeptical. My mother was the only surviving cult member devoted to Red Eye. All the valid men volunteered for her capture, and they found her at the outskirts of the forest, trying to perform a ritual. After the diary that I had lost was found by one of the villagers, further evidence emerged against my mother, and she was thrown in a heavily guarded cell immediately after her trial. To avoid anyone to be manipulated by her cunning nature, I am the only one allowed to visit her alone without escort. For everything that I had accomplished as the Outlander, Carla and I were given a new house despite the fact that all the calamity arose from our family. I was awarded with an honorable rank in the village that I preferred to decline because of the shame Red Eye and my mother brought to our lineage. A few weeks after the last blackout, we started receiving many visitors on the land, stating that our village was not visible on any existing map. That brought quite a lot of development in the community. However, we chose to remain hidden, discreet and in full control of our small part of the world. In 2021, after the village, Carla and myself reached a little bit of stability, I went on an important trip to fulfill my promise to Edlin. Thanks to the diary, and what I helped her with in writing, I could trace her parents' address all the way to the United States. The moment I stepped into their house, after pretending to be some sort of medium, I could see pictures of her with a heartwarming smile and her preference for the green color. However, what mattered for me the most are the tears of joy they shared when they recognized that the note I gave to them truly came from their daughter, as it contained information only her and her family knew. People that are separated because of demise indeed still have many things they wish they could say or share. Upon leaving the house, on my way to my requested ride, I saw a great green macaw land on their mailbox, a few meters away from me, before flying high in the sky, making me smile and wave Edlin goodbye one last time. My whole life was turning into a valuable lesson, even a whole course. From the blackout to its end, I had to grow up fast and eventually became my sister's guardian and only sane family. How the little things can have such impact on the world. Some parents fail to recognize the value of their own child, then that child sinks into megalomania and delusion, in turn failing to recognize the value of every single life around him. Many lives destroyed, many lives wasted because of the pain. I am grateful for still standing, trying my best to escape a destiny that was almost forced upon me, instead of just letting me find my path. I always wonder what would my life be if my great-great-grandfather did not do what he did. At least, I did find a path, despite the storm. I do not believe to be the Outlander, no. I refuse to let Red Eye, his cult or even Asgards define who and what I am. Before the resolution of the blackout and after its definitive stop, I stand in between. Yes, I am the bridge between the old world and the new world, between the time of war and the time of peace. At least, that was what I thought. As soon as I returned to the village a few days later after my trip, I was hit with a really worrisome news. Someone in the village had stolen all Adelaide's witchcraft books. The same night of my return, I dreamed about myself lying down and stuck on my bed as if it was some freaking sleep paralysis. In the room, there was a girl using blood on her hands to write things that I was not able to read. The moment she spotted me looking at her, she approached. "You're here," she whispered. "Who are you?" I asked. "Shush. Not too loud, he'll hear you." "What's going on? How did you get in here?" I asked again. "How did you get in here? This is not your home. I mean, not exactly, this is the Midway realm," she revealed. "What? Why can't I move? Who are you?" "Terrence, it's me, Hazel. Don't you recognize me? I changed that much? Hazel? You've done something wrong. Very wrong. You've freed him, and now I can't control him anymore." "What? Who?" I questioned. "Twin," she replied. "Twin? Look who's here, Mommy's favorite little baby," a male voice said from behind the door, making Hazel gasp in fear. "Hurry, Terrence, please. You gotta find me, you gotta find him, before it's too," she could not finish shouting. He crushed the door into several pieces with a bizarre power that emitted a green light, not allowing me to see him properly, and he sent all the pieces in our direction while Hazel screamed in terror. I jumped in my bed waking up and immediately gasped in fear myself, when I saw all the walls, the floor, and the ceiling in my room covered with distress messages written in fresh blood, streaming down. "Help me, save me, find him, find us, Midway realm, hurry." They were everywhere, and the door and windows of my bedroom were wide open. I checked the time on the same mechanical watch from the blackout, that I still have to this day, that I still wear almost all the time, and read 2:26 a.m. I did not wait until morning and dashed to my mother's prison cell. It was only my second visit to her in 6 years. I stormed through the facility entrances, startling a few guards sleeping on duty, and found a lady dancing in her cell in the middle of the night. "Oh, Outlander, my son." "Hello," she greeted gleefully when she saw me. "Who did I free?" I questioned. "So you've finally seen him?" "Oh dear, I told you that the sky was about to get darker for you. For all of us, by the way," she spoke. "Who did I free?" Red-Eye said the same thing before he passed, and I know he wasn't talking about Asgards. "Who's that guy? And what's his business with that Hazel girl?" I asked. "I won't say anything about Hazel. I've never been a gossip person, you know. Her parents should have known what they were getting into when they chose to make her escape the village. Everything has a price, a soul for a soul," she replied. "For the last time, Penelope, who is he?" "So you didn't recognize him? That is so awful. Does he care?" "I think not. He'll soon be here anyway. First, he'll come for me, then he might go for Carla and keep you for the dessert, before crushing everything and everyone." "Who is he?" I shouted, shaking the bars of her cell. "You always lacked manners and brains," she said, after sighing in disappointment. "After everything that you've seen and heard, you still need to be lectured." "Fine," she added, suddenly standing straight. "This is how an Outlander is born. You're the only one that have existed. I gave birth to you, and I'm so proud of myself for accomplishing such a task. Even though you're such a disappointment. Do not test my patience," I warned. "I guess you should know. In an offspring from our bloodline, one sibling is chosen among others, and the rest has to be sacrificed. The chosen one, myself in this case, undergoes a series of ritual each time she has to give birth, or each time he has to impregnate if he's a male. If there's one baby at birth, the ritual is a failure, but if there are twins, the ritual is a success, at 50%. The chosen sibling still has to make a difficult choice. One baby has to be favored, and the other has to be discarded and locked away, somewhere, very dark, she revealed before pretending to hold 2 babies, and I remember the painting of her holding 2 infants I saw in the realm of Red-Eye. "What did you?" I tried, but failed to speak. "Terrence the Outlander," she said, looking at her right arm. "And Lawrence, the Outcast," she said, looking at her left arm, then looked at me with a smile. My heart racing again. I almost fell trying to put distance between that evil woman and myself, under the guard's appalled looks following her gruesome revelation. She laughed behind me, rejoicing at the prospect of a new threat looming over us all, saying that the rejected son was on his way home, lusting for blood. Will all this nightmare have an end? I stepped outside trying to breathe after she crushed my heart one more time with one more evil deed. Neither the stars nor the moon were visible that night. She and Red-Eye had told me the truth, the sky was indeed getting darker. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to share your story in the next video, comment on this one and I'll make it happen.